How to ask I am to get anything you want in life when you ask I am. You are not speaking to something outside of you. You are activating the deepest power within you. Because I am is not a request, it is an identity. And life always agrees with who you believe you are. Most people beg, hope, or wait, but I am does not respond to begging, it responds to assumption. The moment you say, I am, consciousness listens and reality begins to rearrange itself. Whatever you attach to I am becomes your truth, not because you worked hard for it, but because you accepted it as already done. Desire itself is proof that I am has already chosen that experience for you. You are not asking for something new. You are remembering who you truly are. When you ask I am correctly, there is no desperation, no force, and no constant repetition. There is calm certainty. Feeling is the language of I am, not effort or words. And the moment you feel natural, relaxed, and at peace with the idea of having what you want, the request is complete. Asking once is enough, because continuing to ask is secretly saying you do not believe. True faith is quiet. You live, think, and move as the person who already has, and in that stillness, life has no choice but to follow. I am never delays, never denies, and never questions, it only reflects. So choose your I am wisely, because the moment you say, I am confident, confidence appears. When you say, I am favored, doors open. And when you say, I am fulfilled, fulfillment becomes inevitable. Master I am, and you stop chasing reality, reality starts chasing you. I am is not begging, it is declaring. When people hear the phrase, ask I am, most immediately imagine prayer, pleading, or hoping that some higher power will grant their wishes. This misunderstanding is the very reason most people struggle to manifest what they want. I am is not something outside of you that you beg or convince. I am is your core awareness, your sense of being, the silent statement that exists before every thought, emotion, or condition. When you say, I am, you are not asking for permission. You are declaring identity. Life does not respond to what you want, it responds to who you believe you are. The moment you understand this, everything changes. From childhood, we are trained to believe that we must earn, deserve, or struggle for what we want. This conditioning creates a mindset of lack. When someone says, I want success, or I hope things improve, they are unconsciously affirming that success and improvement are not present now. I am does not work with hope or wishing. It works with assumption. Assumption means you accept something internally as already true, even if the external world has not yet caught up. Declaring, I am successful, is not arrogance or fantasy. It is choosing a state of consciousness that reality must eventually reflect. The power of I am lies in its neutrality. I am does not judge what you attach to it. Whether you say, I am confident, or I am unlucky, the creative force within you accepts it equally. This is why many people unknowingly manifest negative experiences. They constantly declare limiting identities without realizing it. I am tired. I am broke. I am ignored. I am unlucky. These are not harmless statements. They are declarations of self. Life's role is simple: to mirror back the identity you repeatedly claim. Once you see this, you realize that the question is not whether manifestation works, but what you are manifesting all day through your I am statements. To ask I am correctly, you must drop the mindset of asking and step into the mindset of being. Being does not chase. Being does not wait. Being does not check for results. Being is calm, settled, and natural. Think about it. Do you wake up every morning asking if you are yourself? No, you simply are. That same naturalness is the key to using I am consciously. When you declare I am wealthy or I am loved, the goal is not to force belief, but to gently accept that identity as yours, the same way you accept your name. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to use I am while emotionally fighting reality. They say affirmations with tension, desperation, and urgency. But tension is a signal of doubt. I am does not respond to emotional intensity. It responds to inner acceptance. The correct declaration feels calm, not dramatic. It feels obvious, not forced. When you declare from this place, you are not trying to convince the universe. You are aligning with yourself. Declaration also means responsibility. If I am is creative, then you must become aware of what you are declaring throughout the day. Your self-talk is not random noise. It is constant instruction to consciousness. When something goes wrong and you say, this always happens to me, you are declaring a pattern. When you say, people never take me seriously, you are declaring an identity. I am listens all the time, not just during meditation or affirmations. This awareness alone can transform your life, because you begin to pause before labeling yourself. Another key aspect of declaration is persistence without force. Persistence does not mean repeating words in panic. It means remaining loyal to the identity you chose, even when circumstances temporarily contradict it. Reality is delayed feedback. What you see now is the result of past assumptions. When you declare a new I am, the old echoes may still appear for a while. This is where most people quit. They look at the world and say, it's not working. But I am was never asking for validation, it was establishing truth. When you remain steady, reality has no option but to conform. Declaration also shifts how you act, but not through effort. When you truly accept a new I am, your actions naturally align without force. A person who truly sees themselves as confident does not need to practice confidence. They simply behave differently. A person who assumes abundance makes different choices without trying. This is why inspired action flows naturally from identity, not discipline. Change the I am and behavior follows automatically. It is important to understand that declaration does not mean denying emotions or pretending nothing is wrong. It means not allowing temporary emotions to redefine your identity. You can feel fear and still declare, I am safe. You can experience delay and still declare, I am favored. The declaration is not about what you feel in the moment, it is about what you choose to be beneath the feeling. Over time, emotions follow identity, not the other way around. The simplicity of I am is what makes it powerful. There are no rituals required, no perfect timing, no special words. The only requirement is honesty with yourself about who you are choosing to be. This is why manifestation is not about control, but about self-definition. Life asks you one question over and over again, who are you? Your I am answers, and life responds accordingly. When you stop begging and start declaring, you move from victim to creator. You no longer see life as something that happens to you, but something that flows from you. The moment you declare from calm certainty, you shift dimensions internally, and the external world slowly but surely follows. This is not magic, it is law. Identity creates experience, so begin gently. Listen to your inner dialogue. Replace unconscious declarations with conscious ones. Instead of I am learning, instead of I am unlucky, choose I am guided. Instead of I am waiting, choose I am aligned. Do not rush the process. I am is patient, consistent, and exact. What you declare today becomes the foundation of your tomorrow. In the end, asking I am is not about getting something. It is about remembering who you are. The moment you stop asking life to change and start declaring yourself changed, life has no choice but to agree. Desire is I am calling you, not the other way around. Most people believe desire means lack. They think that wanting something is proof that they do not have it, and because of this belief they struggle force and chase outcomes that seem just out of reach. But in the understanding of I am, desire has an entirely different meaning. Desire is not absence, it is invitation. It is I am signaling a version of yourself that already exists within consciousness and is ready to be expressed. You do not desire randomly. You desire what you are capable of becoming. Desire does not originate in the outer world. It does not come from comparison, competition, or coincidence. True desire rises from within awareness itself. When something stirs your heart, captures your imagination, or feels deeply meaningful, that is not the ego asking for more. It is I am reminding you of an identity you have not yet fully accepted. This is why desire feels personal. Two people can look at the same situation, and only one feels a deep pull toward it. That pull is not accidental, it is recognition. Think about this carefully. You do not desire what you truly believe is impossible. You might fantasize about it briefly, but sustained desire only exists where potential already lies. This is a powerful clue. Desire is evidence of alignment, not lack. When you understand this, you stop questioning your desires and start honoring them. Instead of asking, why don't I have this yet? You begin to ask, who must I be to allow this to express? One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to create desire or suppress it out of fear. Some chase every desire blindly, while others reject desire entirely, calling it selfish or unrealistic. Both approaches miss the truth. Desire is neither something to chase nor something to avoid. It is something to interpret. Desire is a message from I am saying, this state belongs to you. Your role is not to demand it into existence, but to accept the identity that matches it. When you ask I am from this perspective, asking becomes effortless. You are no longer pleading for something you think you lack. You are responding to a call. This shifts your energy completely. There is no desperation when you realize that desire itself is proof of availability. A seed does not struggle to become a tree. It simply allows the process. In the same way, when you stop fighting your desires and start trusting them, manifestation becomes natural. Another important realization is that desire does not mean timing. Just because you desire something does not mean it must appear instantly. Consciousness unfolds in sequence. Desire shows you the direction, not the deadline. When people become impatient, they often abandon their desire or try to force results, which only creates resistance. I am does not respond to urgency. It responds to alignment. The moment you relax into knowing that your desire is already accepted in consciousness, you remove the main obstacle. Desire also reveals your current self-concept. What you desire shows what you believe is possible but not yet normalized. For example, if you desire respect, it means respect is not yet your dominant self-image. If you desire abundance, it means abundance has not yet become natural to you. This is not a failure, it is guidance. Desire highlights the gap between who you are being and who you are becoming. Instead of judging this gap, you gently step into it by assuming the feeling of fulfillment. Many people try to let go of desire, thinking that detachment means forgetting what they want. This misunderstanding leads to suppression and inner conflict. Letting go does not mean erasing desire, it means letting go of resistance to it. You do not let go of the desire, you let go of the belief that it is hard, distant, or unlikely. True detachment is not indifference, it is trust. When you understand that desire is I am calling you, you stop trying to control the outer world. You realize that your only real work is inner acceptance. You do not need to figure out how it will happen. How is not your responsibility. I am already contains the path. Your responsibility is simply to stop arguing with the desire through doubt, fear, and overthinking. Desire also teaches patience. The deeper the desire, the deeper the transformation required. Some desires require a complete shift in identity, not just a change in circumstances. This is why certain manifestations take time, not because I am is slow, but because you are being prepared internally to hold the experience without losing it. Growth is not punishment, it is stabilization. It is also important to understand that desire evolves. As you accept one level of identity, new desires emerge. This does not mean dissatisfaction, it means expansion. I am is infinite, and it expresses itself through continuous becoming. There is no final state where desire ends. There is only deeper alignment and greater expression. Once you accept this, you stop fearing desire and start seeing it as guidance. Another powerful shift happens when you stop comparing your desires to others. Comparison distorts desire and turns it into pressure. Your desire is yours alone. It does not need justification. It does not need approval. The moment you seek permission to want what you want, you weaken the signal. I am does not ask permission to express, it simply does. Asking I am through desire also means listening. Sometimes desire calls you to rest, to wait, or to release something that no longer fits. Not every desire is about acquiring. Some are about becoming lighter. When you are still enough to listen, desire guides you perfectly. Ultimately, desire is not something to overcome, it is something to understand. It is the voice of I am speaking in the language of longing, curiosity, and vision. When you stop seeing desire as lack and start seeing it as alignment, you no longer ask I am from fear. You respond from trust. In this understanding, manifestation becomes cooperation, not control. You are not chasing life. You are answering a call. Desire is not asking I am for something. It is I am reminding you of who you already are becoming. The language of I am is feeling, not words. Most people believe that the power of I am lies in the words they speak, so they repeat affirmations mechanically, hoping that repetition alone will force reality to change. But words by themselves are empty containers. The true language of I am is feeling. Feeling is the emotional and psychological state that tells consciousness whether something is accepted as real or rejected as fantasy. You can speak the most powerful affirmations in the world, but if your inner feeling contradicts them, I am responds to the feeling, not the words. Feeling is not about excitement or intensity. Many people misunderstand feeling as emotion, and they try to generate excitement, joy, or high energy while affirming. But the feeling that manifests is not emotional hype, it is naturalness. It is the quiet sense that something is normal, expected, and already yours. When you assume a new identity, the feeling that accompanies it is calm certainty, not dramatic emotion. I am responds to what feels real, not what sounds impressive. Think about how you feel about your name. You do not get excited or emotional when you say it. You simply know it is yours. That neutral certainty is the exact feeling that activates I am. When you say, I am successful, and it feels forced, distant, or unrealistic, the declaration does not take root. But when you say it, and it feels ordinary, obvious, and unremarkable, consciousness accepts it as truth. The goal is not to convince yourself emotionally, but to normalize the identity internally. This is why many people fail despite years of affirmations. They focus on the technique rather than the inner state. They repeat words while secretly feeling anxious, impatient, or unworthy. These hidden feelings override spoken affirmations. I am does not listen to the surface, it listens to the depth. The dominant feeling, often unspoken, becomes the instruction. Awareness of this fact is more powerful than any technique. Feeling also explains why visualization works for some people and not for others. Visualization is not powerful because of images. It is powerful because it evokes a feeling of reality. If someone visualizes with effort and strain, nothing changes. But if visualization naturally produces a sense of fulfillment, relief, or completion, I am response. The image is just a tool. The feeling is the signal. Another important point is that feeling is always present, even when you are not consciously manifesting. Every situation you are in carries a background feeling: safety or insecurity, confidence or doubt, abundance or lack. These baseline feelings are the result of long-held I am assumptions. They operate automatically. This is why changing your life requires changing your emotional baseline, not just your thoughts. You do not change feeling by fighting it. Resistance strengthens the old state. Instead, you gently introduce a new feeling by imagining what life would feel like if your desire were fulfilled. Not what it would look like, not how you would explain it to others, but how it would feel internally. Would you feel relieved, calm, secure, grounded? This subtle shift is enough. I am does not need perfection, it needs acceptance. One of the most misunderstood aspects of feeling is timing. People often ask, how long do I need to feel it? The answer is not time-based, it is state-based. The moment the feeling feels natural, the request is accepted. You do not need to maintain the feeling 24/7. Once the seed is planted, it grows on its own. Constantly checking whether you are feeling it right actually signals doubt and interrupts the process. Another mistake people make is trying to eliminate negative feelings completely. This creates inner conflict and self-judgment. Feeling negative emotions does not cancel manifestation unless you identify with them. You can feel fear and still know, I am supported. You can feel sadness and still assume, I am loved. The feeling that manifests is not the passing emotion, but the underlying identity you return to afterward. Feeling also explains why letting go works. When you let go, you release tension, control, and attachment. This creates a feeling of ease, which signals trust. Trust is a powerful state. It tells I am that the desire is already accepted. This is why things often manifest when people stop trying. They did not stop caring, they stopped resisting. Your environment, habits, and self-talk all influence feeling. This is why conscious living supports manifestation. The music you listen to, the content you consume, the way you speak to yourself, all of these shape your emotional baseline. When you surround yourself with signals of calm, confidence, and self-respect, your feeling naturally shifts without effort. It is also important to understand that feeling does not mean pretending. Pretending creates inner tension. Feeling means allowing. You do not need to act as if in the outer world. You need to feel as if in the inner world. Outer actions will change naturally later. Inner alignment always comes first. As you become more sensitive to feeling, you begin to notice subtle shifts. You may feel less urgency, less obsession, less need for reassurance. These are signs that the state is accepted. The quieter you become inside, the faster things move outside. I am responds to stillness because stillness reflects certainty. Ultimately, mastering I am is not about mastering words, affirmations, or techniques. It is about mastering inner atmosphere. Feeling is the atmosphere of consciousness. When you change the atmosphere, everything that grows within it changes automatically. So speak if it helps, visualize if it feels natural, but always return to feeling. Ask yourself, does this feel real? Does this feel normal? Does this feel done? When the answer is yes, even gently, the request is complete. I am has heard you, not through your words, but through your state of being. Asking once is enough, waiting is the answer. One of the greatest misunderstandings about using I am is the belief that asking repeatedly makes the desire stronger or more likely to appear. In truth, repetition rooted in urgency weakens faith. When you ask I am correctly, you ask once, and that single assumption is enough. Everything after that is not asking, it is either trusting or doubting. Waiting is not inactivity, it is the quiet confidence that what has been accepted in consciousness must eventually appear in form. When people keep affirming, visualizing, and praying from a place of anxiety, they believe they are being persistent, but they are actually reinforcing the idea that it has not yet happened. I am does not respond to neediness, it responds to certainty. Certainty does not repeat itself, it rests. Think of decisions you are sure about. You do not constantly remind yourself of them. You simply live from them. This same principle applies to asking I am. Waiting in the context of I am does not mean watching the clock or scanning the world for signs. That type of waiting is anxious and desperate. True waiting is inner stillness. It is the state where you no longer feel the urge to check, force, or control. You are not ignoring your desire, you are trusting it. This trust is a powerful signal. It tells consciousness that the desire has been accepted as real. One reason waiting is difficult is because people confuse time delay with failure. They assume that if something does not appear quickly, it is not working. But reality is delayed reflection. What you see today is the result of past assumptions. When you introduce a new I am, you are planting a new seed. Seeds do not grow faster because you dig them up to check. They grow because you leave them undisturbed. Waiting also reveals your true belief. If you constantly feel the need to repeat affirmations, seek reassurance, or compare your progress with others, it is not persistence, it is doubt. Doubt does not cancel the manifestation completely, but it slows the process by sending mixed signals. Asking once with calm acceptance is far more powerful than asking 100 times with fear. Another important aspect of waiting is that it shifts your focus from outcome to identity. Instead of obsessing over when and how the desire will appear, you begin to live as the person who already has it internally. This does not mean pretending in the outer world. It means thinking, feeling, and responding from fulfillment rather than lack. This internal shift naturally changes your reactions, choices, and energy. Waiting also builds emotional maturity. It teaches you to be at peace without external confirmation. This is a crucial stage in manifestation, because many people lose their desire the moment it appears due to insecurity or attachment. Waiting stabilizes the new identity so that when the outer change arrives, you can hold it without fear. It is important to understand that waiting does not mean doing nothing in life. You still live, act, and respond normally. The difference is that your actions are no longer driven by desperation. You are not trying to make something happen. You are allowing life to unfold while staying anchored in the assumption that it is already done. This is inspired action rather than forced effort. One of the signs that you have asked correctly is that the emotional charge around the desire softens. You still want it, but you are no longer tense about it. You feel lighter, calmer, and more present. This is not indifference, it is trust. Trust is the natural result of faith in I am. Waiting also protects you from over-identifying with setbacks. Temporary contradictions are part of the rearrangement process. Old patterns may surface briefly before dissolving. If you panic and react, you reinforce them. If you remain steady, they lose power. Waiting allows the old story to complete itself without pulling you back into it. Another powerful element of waiting is gratitude. Gratitude is not about thanking in advance with forced positivity. It is about appreciating your inner shift. When you notice that you feel more peaceful, more confident, or less reactive, that is evidence that the state has changed. This inner evidence is far more important than outer proof. Many people fear waiting because they think it means losing control. In reality, waiting is choosing the highest form of control, self-control. You stop trying to manipulate circumstances and instead master your inner state. This is the true power of I am. Waiting also sharpens awareness. You become more conscious of your reactions, language, and assumptions. You notice when old habits of doubt try to return, and instead of fighting them, you gently return to the feeling of completion. This gentle return is more effective than forceful discipline. It is also important to understand that waiting does not require constant mindfulness. You do not need to monitor every thought. Consciousness works with your dominant state, not fleeting thoughts. As long as you repeatedly return to trust, the process continues smoothly. Ultimately, asking once and waiting is an act of self-respect. It says, I trust myself, I trust life, I trust the process. This trust is magnetic. It allows things to come to you rather than being chased. When you master waiting, you realize that manifestation is not about effort, repetition, or control. It is about allowance. You declare, you accept, and then you live. Life fills in the details. So ask once, clearly and calmly. Accept it internally. Then wait, not with impatience, but with peace. Waiting is not the absence of action, it is the presence of faith. And faith, when rooted in I am, never fails. You become what you ask. Choose your I am wisely. The most powerful and often overlooked truth about I am is that it does not give you things, it turns you into someone. Every time you say, I am, you are not making a request, you are selecting an identity. Life then organizes itself around that identity with absolute precision. This is why asking I am carelessly can create unwanted experiences just as easily as conscious asking creates success, love, or peace. I am does not discriminate. It reflects. From the moment you wake up, you are declaring I am statements, whether you are aware of them or not. I am tired. I am late. I am stressed. I am unlucky. These statements seem harmless, but repeated daily, they harden into self-concepts. A self-concept is simply a belief about who you are, and once established, it acts like a filter through which all experiences pass. You do not experience life as it is, you experience life as you are. Choosing your I am wisely means taking responsibility for your inner language. This does not mean suppressing honesty or denying current circumstances. It means not allowing temporary states to define permanent identity. Feeling tired does not require declaring, I am tired. You can acknowledge the feeling without labeling the self. The moment you separate experience from identity, you regain creative power. Many people think manifestation is about getting money, relationships, or success, but at its core, it is about becoming. Money flows more easily to someone who sees themselves as capable and worthy. Love flows to someone who sees themselves as lovable and secure. Respect flows to someone who sees themselves as confident and grounded. The outer result is a side effect of the inner identity. This is why focusing directly on things often fails. Things follow being, not the other way around. One of the dangers of unconscious I am statements is that they often come from emotional reactions. When something goes wrong, the mind rushes to label the self. I am always rejected. I am not enough. These statements feel true in the moment, but they are emotional conclusions, not facts. Yet I am treats them as instructions. Over time, life begins to reflect these conclusions, reinforcing the belief and creating a cycle. Breaking this cycle does not require force or positive thinking. It requires awareness. The moment you catch yourself making a limiting I am statement, you interrupt the pattern. You do not need to argue with it. You simply replace it with a broader, more supportive identity. Instead of I am failing, you might choose I am learning. Instead of I am unlucky, choose I am guided. These are not lies. They are conscious interpretations that allow growth rather than stagnation. Choosing I am wisely also means understanding that identity must feel believable. Declaring something wildly opposite to your current self concept can create resistance. This is why gentle shifts are often more effective than extreme affirmations. Moving from I am powerless to I am open to strength may feel more natural than jumping straight to I am unstoppable. I am works best when the new identity can be emotionally accepted. Another important aspect of wise choosing is consistency. Identity is not created through one declaration. It is created through repeated inner agreement. This does not mean constant repetition of words, but repeated returning to the same assumption. Each time you choose the same I am in response to life, you strengthen it. Over time, it becomes automatic. Your environment and relationships also reflect your I am. People treat you according to the identity you project, often unconsciously. When you see yourself as valuable, others sense it. When you see yourself as invisible, others overlook you. This is not manipulation, it is resonance. Life mirrors self-concept faithfully. Choosing I am wisely also means letting go of identities that no longer serve you. Many people cling to familiar suffering because it feels safe. Identities like the struggler, the victim, or the misunderstood one may feel comfortable, but they limit expansion. Releasing these identities can feel uncomfortable at first because it requires stepping into the unknown. But this discomfort is growth, not danger. It is also important to understand that I am operates continuously. You do not turn it on and off. This means that unconscious declarations carry just as much power as conscious ones. Becoming mindful of your inner dialogue is one of the most transformative practices you can adopt. Not to judge yourself, but to choose more intentionally. As you grow more aware, you may notice that silence becomes powerful. You do not need to label yourself constantly. In silence, I am remains open and expansive. From this openness, you can choose identities deliberately rather than reactively. Another key point is that identity shapes interpretation. Two people can experience the same event and interpret it differently based on who they believe they are. One sees rejection, the other sees redirection. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. These interpretations are not random, they are expressions of I am. Ultimately, choosing your I am wisely is an act of self-love. You stop attacking yourself internally and start supporting your own becoming. You stop waiting for the world to validate you and start validating yourself. When you understand that you become what you ask, you stop asking casually. You speak with intention. You think with care. You respond rather than react. And slowly, life begins to reflect a version of you that feels more aligned, empowered, and whole. I am is always saying yes. The question is not whether it will respond, but what you are choosing to become.